What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Guy Pandemonium, bringing you my first ever Port Royale 4 video on advanced trading. If you can, please hit that like and subscribe button. Feel free to comment on anything you liked in the video or any other thing you would like me to do a review on or tip on for this game. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is not your basic trade route creating automatic trade routes. There are multiple YouTube videos out there that go a little bit more in detail than the tutorial does. This is going to be primarily a video on you have an automatic trade route, you have businesses built up, and you want to sell your commodities on these islands for as much as you can and make the most profit. So we're going to go ahead and start off looking at Crooked Island. This is during one of my campaign run-throughs that I think I finally cracked the code. So what do I mean by businesses and a high production value from your businesses? Well, when you look at your production chart, you can see that I have wood at 57, coal 35, sugar 35. To me, a high production value is anything over 30 a day. So this means that I'm going to have two trade routes for wood and sugar, one for each one separated. Now, why not coal? Well, the game doesn't exactly display your true production value per day, as it does say coal is produced at 35.2 per day. However, it does not take into consideration the metalware taking 13.2 away. So my actual production value of coal is only around 22, 23 per day, which to me is not high enough currently to set its own trade route for. My good rule of thumb is anything over a production value of 30 should have its own trade route as its own. And that is exactly what I did. So we're going to go ahead and look at wood. We're going to I already have a trade route created for wood, so we're just going to look at an example I have. But I do have another trade route I have to create, so I will show you the process on going through that. But looking at the example I have, we're going to go over here to our trade routes. I always recommend naming your trade route, whatever the route is going to be, aka Crooked Island. So I have Crooked and then its supply of wood is what I'm saying. So the trade route's called Crooked Wood. I know, funny joke, hardy har har. I was lazy and didn't feel like typing Crooked Island Wood. So I left a brief little funny. So we're going to go ahead and pull up our settings. Now this is an automated trade route that I had in the beginning of the game. I have simply gone in and refined it just to simply maximize wood and the selling of wood to where my town doesn't get an oversupply or overabundance of this commodity. So your priority function, I'll get into that later, was about how to sell it. It's your priority, blah, blah, blah. I'll get into that here in a few minutes. However, I want to talk about your quantity and price. These are two things that I haven't seen many videos describe. Your quantity is not the amount of wood that is taken during this whole trade route. The quantity is the amount of commodities that will be taken by each convoy that comes into port on this trade route. So I have 2,000 set up. How did I come up with 2,000? I have 3 ships on a convoy and it is the only convoy on this route. Those 3 ships have a combined cargo space of 2,100. So I have 2,000 coming out every time these 3 ships in this one convoy come into port. Now, my supply in town was around 2,500 when I looked at the actual town's log. The reason I like keeping it around 2,500 is because it is a fulfilling value, meaning your ships, when they come into port, are only going to pay the maximum or the absolute lowest price they will possibly pay, which is around 32 gold. So, what happens though if you have other ships that come on this route and they're all set for a 2,000 quantity haul? Well, if that happens, then your wood supply will dwindle and you'll have to start paying more in order to sell wood. That does not equal max profits. So what is your way around that? You go into the price function. So if you have your price function set to automatic, the computer is automatically going to buy wood. It has no price, it just has it to where it wants to buy whatever it wants. No certain price point, no certain quantity, no nothing. Automatic completely negates the quantity value. If you have it on whatever, your ships are going to buy 2,000 quantity of wood as long as they have 2,000 cargo space available. They're going to buy 2,000 no matter what the price is, which is not good, because that means that if you buy too much of it at once, if you have multiple ships on this route coming in and they're all buying 2,000 wood, chances are you're going to start paying upwards of 50 to 60 gold per wood, when you could be doing it for on only getting it for around the 30 gold per piece of wood. So what is the way around that to fix multiple ships pulling too much or not pulling enough? You come in and you set a maximum price. The maximum price tells the game either one of two things is going to happen. One is when a convoy comes in, they're going to buy 2,000 pieces of wood at the $35 price point. Or a convoy is going to come in to port and they're going to buy as much wood as they can for the $35 price point. Now, a lot is dependent on this price point of 35 gold. How did I get the 35 gold number? That 35 gold number comes from the market value price that we were previously on of 32 gold. I know that a max filling value of 404 green bars is going to give me, is selling for 32 gold. Meaning, if I happen to go in and buy and the price changes to 34 or 35 gold, when it gets closer to a filling level of 304 green bars, it's going to automatically cancel it and it's not going to take it out of that max filling value. Which means when the next ship comes into port for another supply, even if we got more supplies, whether it be 500 or 600 more quantity, it's going to buy that 500-600 quantity at this price point. And the filling value will stay the highest at 404, and they're going to be buying it for the lowest at 32 gold. So, going from there, how do we go about selling it? Well, if I go down to my next island here at Andros, I have it selling at a priority of 5. Now, the priority means that this will be the first item that they sell in port. It does not mean that this is the only item they're selling. The priority level simply states this is what items need to sell first before anything else. So, my priority is maxed out. Quantity, I do not worry with when it comes to selling. I do not want to tell them to sell a certain amount of something at one port, as the prices can vary because other companies are trying to sell same commodities to certain areas. So what do? I go into the price point and set a minimum of 45 gold. How do I come up with that 45 gold number? Well, if we back out of this and I go on over here to Andros, God, I probably butchered it. If I go over here and I look at their wood, the price point is at 47 gold. So that 45 gold that I have on this trade route, if I get back to it here really quickly, means I can sell as much of it as I can within that 2 gold difference. Well, 2 gold profit, the 2 gold difference doesn't seem like a lot. It is a lot. It's more than you would think because you're trying to get as much as you can out of each and every port. Not all ports accept the same commodity at the same price regardless of fill level. And I'll demonstrate that here in the next one, where for instance Andros has I think its price was 60 or 70, and then the very next port's almost at 100. But I'll demonstrate that later. So we set a minimum value of 45, meaning I'm going to sell as much wood as I can until that $45 per piece of wood is reached. After that's reached or goes over, it stops selling. So every piece of wood I sell between Crooked Island and Andros is a 10 gold profit at minimum. Going down to Mosquito, I also have a 45 gold minimum. Not because of the price of it in the market, but because I want a 10 gold profit because of the amount of wood I'm selling between these 4 islands. That that little gold difference is generally not reached. What I mean in a more detailed, or I'll try and explain it better, is I'm buying 2,000 wood. I'm trying to sell 2,000 wood in 4 ports before I get back. I can't have my minimum value be only a few gold cheaper than what that market value is. Sometimes you have to take a loss in certain areas in order to empty out the cargo. However, this is not the case in a lot of these areas. For instance, like I said, Andros was only a 2 gold difference between what I'm trying to sell for and what its actual market value is. For Mosquito, let's see, I'm selling it at a minimum of 45 gold, meaning I'm going to sell as much as I can at a 45 gold price point to give me that 10 gold difference. So if I come down here to Mosquito and look at it, it has a price of 72. So that means I'm going to be taking in roughly 27 gold on top. That means I have a 27 gold difference. So what does that mean? That means that as that filling level increases, its price value is going to drop on how much I can sell it for. The point of me having a much lower price I want to sell for here than at the other port Andros is because I know here I can sell a large quantity of wood for them. Meaning I can probably sell 100, 200 pieces of wood, maybe even 300 or 400. And that's how that works. Now going back to the trade route, I want to go back to the wood route, look at it. Now I'm at Nassau. Nassau, I have it as 45 as well. Same thing, same deal. You want to keep that minimum price you want to sell it for under what their market value price is at a certain point to where you get back to your main point with either a little bit of wood left in stock or none whatsoever. However, you will get to a point where I'm at now where it does not sell all of it but sells a good majority of it. And going into cat, same thing. Like I said, I set a 10 gold profit minimum, meaning 10 times 2,000 is 20,000 gold I'm profiting off of wood if it sells all of my wood in this trip. So a very valuable aspect that I need to also state in order to determine your quantity you want to pull out as well, other than just your ship size. If I go back over here to Crooked Wood, exit out of this, I'm making 56 point wood per day. So what does that mean generally? Well, it means I'm making 57.6 wood, which is correct. But at the same time, you need to be mindful of your trade route. So for Crooked Wood, my route has a duration of roughly 10 days. So what does that mean? That means my 57.6 is going to be multiplied by 10, which gives me 576 wood. 576 wood is not as much as I'm taking. Why is that? The reason I only have it pulling at 576 wood, or I'm producing 576 wood, but pulling at 2,000, is because on Crooked Island, I still have that huge surplus. If we go down and we look at my sugar trade route, where my sugar is only at 56, I can see I produce 35.2 per day. So if I go 35.2 times, go to my trade routes for sugar, it has a duration of 11 days. It means I'm only doing 387.2 per day. Now, this is something you have to really pay attention to in the beginning of these trade routes. After they've been going for a while, you can bump up the number to however much you want. Like for instance, I have the 2,000. It doesn't matter. What you want to do, and what I have to do for my sugar, is I actually have to lower the amount I'm pulling out of it. Meaning I'm making 387.2 each convoy trip. Right? Well, my convoy's pulling out 800 per trip. So in order for me to have that get back to a max 404 filling level to where I can get it for the cheapest price possible, I need to go to my quantity and I actually need to lower it. So I still want to pull out as much as I possibly can to make money. But if I can only pull out 387.2 to break even each day, each trip, I'm not going to increase my filling level. So in order to increase my filling level, you can change it to an amount lower than 387.2. Now, I don't recommend going extreme difference, but I'm going to go to 350. And it's the same pricing as I said earlier on with the wood. But the whole point of this is to make sure that when you're looking at your actual inventory of this town and what you can sell, you want your filling level to be full at 4. When it's all the way full, 4 for 4, it's going to be the cheapest price you can possibly buy it from when you come into port, meaning you'll get more money by selling it for a much higher price when you're buying it for a lot cheaper. Like for instance, it's at 64 right now for its price. At a filling level of 4 here, it's only around the 30 or 40, meaning I'm losing 20 gold per piece of commodity that I'm buying because it's not at a max filling level because I'm pulling too much out too quick. Now, I'm not worried with the wood on this because I have that max price point set at 35, meaning it's not going to go down to a filling level of 3 or 4 because that price point for 3 or 4 is around the 38 mark. So it will never let me go that low again. So my wood is completely taken care of for on this island. It's a commodity I now no longer need to worry about how much I have in supply. It is just going to be sold like wildfire to all the surrounding islands for a good profit. Roughly, as I said earlier, with a 2,000 pound pull or a 2,000 cargo hold pull selling at a 10 gold profit, roughly 20,000 profit. And that's for an item that's price is only cheap at 32. For an item like sugar that's at 64, or for instance beer that's at 130 here, you can make a lot more money. So we're going to go ahead and get an example started here. I actually think I already have that one done. I have that done. I think I have, let me see if I have bricks and see here, Crooked, Andros, Cat, Turk. Okay, so I actually have all my trade routes essentially done. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get one set up here, a whole nother one, so that way you guys can get a good example on what I'm doing here. So we're going to go here to the Turks Islands. The primary thing I have is tobacco. It's realistically the only thing I have set up. Okay, so we'll go here and we'll look at beer. It's at 19.19, so I know I need to produce a lot more of it before I can start selling it. So I'm going to go ahead and construct some actual beer here real quick. Good old brewery. It does 6, and I was at 19, so that's 25. That should put me right there at a future production of around 30, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it'll go up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm actually going to go ahead and 5 times the speed here. And watch the money. As you can see, it's going up relatively quickly based on these trade routes while maintaining it, you know. It's not necessarily going down where it bounces from one extreme to the next. It's slowly going up. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back on in here. Hopefully these guys are done. Yep, the breweries are now done. And as you can see, the production is now at 32.4. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to go start a trade route. Create new route. Edit route. Andros is going to be the hometown I want to go to. And then your direction, whatever islands you go to, is different based on what you're trying to do. But I'm going to go Nassau, Mosquito, Grand Bahama, all the way up to Crooked, and then back down to Cat. So, going here, I've got this route set up. I'm going to go ahead and go into the settings. I'm going to go ahead and just do the automatic trade route, essentially, for all of this. And then I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to refine it. I'm buying beer. This is a beer run. I already have a brick, so I'm turning brick off. Go on down. I already have metal. I'm turning metal off. So I have my beer right now. This is the primary one I want to do. So I'm going to go down, make sure they're all selling. High priority, and so forth. It's going to be a high priority through all of them. And the good ones are the ones where every single one you go to is a sell, not where they also produce it. Like for instance, if I go here to Grand Bahama, it wants to buy it. I already have a brick supply here, so I am not going to buy it. I'm going to just go ahead and turn it off. Mosquito, same thing, turn it off. Nassau, it's already set to sell. So it should either be sell or off on all of them. So let's go on down, double check metal. Sell, 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 sell. We're all good on that. Go back up to Andros. There should be some more. Cocoa, cacao, whatever you want to pronounce it. I'm not buying it. I already have a run, so that gets turned off. Sell, 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 and sell. The reason you want to make sure these are all set to sell is because you're making it to where when I go to this next port and sell this much beer, I'm going to buy some stuff to fill, so I have to make sure I have a full hold the whole time. So they may buy it at another location if it's a lot cheaper. So you go ahead and turn it off so that way they don't buy it anywhere, because if you buy it there, you're reselling it to the same place, losing money with your other trade route. So that should be done. That looks all good to me. So now we have what items we're buying and selling, and we're making sure our priority is on the beer between all these islands. So let's go ahead and look here at Andros. We're going to go ahead and save this route. We're going to rename it Andros. Andros beer. Alright, so I'm not going to start this route. I'm not assigning it to anyone at the current moment. We're going to make sure the game's still paused, and we're going to go here and look at this. My market value for my price is at 108 gold at a filling level of 2. So my first thought is I need to go ahead and get this beer level maxed out, filling level 4 of 4, before I can really start making max profits on it. But in the meantime, I'm going to make max profits as that rises up slowly. And the same thing for right now with the bricks on this. I have bricks done, so the bricks are all taken care of. But I need to go back and refine metal to where I can get my metal at a full filling level, to where I can get the most profit period out of it. But beer is our focus. So our price is at 108 gold per beer. I'm going to accept the 108 price mark. However, when I go to my trade routes, before I do that, I need to go back. I'm at 32.4 production per day. So make sure you're aware, 32.4. And what are we going to do? We're going to multiply that 32.4 times our trade route. Our trade route has a total duration of 12 days. So that number is going to be multiplied by 12, which gives me 388.8 beer will be produced in between my time I leave the port and get back. So I'm going to go to edit route, Andros, go back to my beer. I'm going to change my quantity. I'm going to put it on 300 and I'll do 360. That way I'm still stockpiling 28.8 beer per day. Now I know you have to worry about other people buying it, what and all that other stuff. Don't worry about it. It works out perfectly fine. They don't really fluctuate the changes that much in what's actually in and out of the islands itself on filling levels. So I'm going to give myself that 28 buffer there on the quantity that's produced daily versus when I get back, do a full trip. That way I can get it back at max filling level. So that way I can buy it for the cheapest price and sell it for the highest price. So pricing, I'm going to pay a maximum. This already has it set at 120, which is when it drops down to the next level. That's what it is. So this maximum level is when it goes from being filling level 2 of 4 to filling level 1 of 4. So that 120 means it has a filling level of 1 of 4. We do not want that whatsoever. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make it at 110. I'm going to give myself that 2 gold difference buffer between a filling level 2 of 4 and dropping down any further. And what this does is also limits how much of this I actually buy. So I may not get a full 360 commodity supply of it. It may only give me 50 or 60 because I don't want that filling level to drop anymore. Now once that filling level gets full 4 of 4, I will set my quantity to be equal with how much I produce each convoy trip with a maximum price I'm paying for as the market value price that it has at a full 4 of 4 filling value. So 110 is where I'm going to have it set at. So we're going to go ahead and back out of this. I'm then going to follow my path. My first stop is here in Nassau. So exit out of this, Nassau, go down here, look at beer. Beer is selling for 180 gold right now. I can buy it for 108, which is already a 72 gold profit right now. And that is with only a filling value of 2 of 4 where I'm buying it from, which could be much, much lower versus I'm selling it for 180. So I'm going to go ahead and set my sell price to only be 150. That means if it gets below 150 gold for beer, I will then no longer sell it and my convoy is going to move to the next port. I cut my price down 30 gold, that is correct. However, I'm still profiting roughly 40 gold pieces off of what I'm buying it from. The reason I'm selling it for that much lower is this is an area that I can quickly get rid of a good supply at. So I know my gold here price for beer is 180. So I'm going to pull up my trade route, go back to the beer route, go down to Nassau, go to my beer to sell it. It's going to be a minimum price. Like I said, I'm going to set it at 150. And this is something that you have to watch it for a little bit. You have to watch your trade routes for a couple tours, or what they call tours, meaning the amount of loops they do, a few times to really dial it in on what you can set these prices at. But for me, I'm going to set it at 150. So I'm going to leave it at 150. And I'm going to go ahead and go, okay, next one is Mosquito. So we're going to go ahead and back on out. I know it's a pain having to back in and out all the time. And as you can see, they're even buying it at a higher price at 186. So I'm going to keep the same 150. So now my next question is, well, what does the Grand Bahama sell it for? Or want to buy beer for? Another 180. Okay. What about up here when it loops all the way back up to Crooked? What are they buying beer at? They're only buying beer at 169, meaning at this stop, I am not going to be selling much on supplies. So I can set that a little bit higher or a little bit lower, whatever I want to do. And I'm going to explain to you once I go through and start setting my prices on why that is. I already have the price point in my head at what I want to pay for that, or what I want to sell it for. And then Cat Island being our final, they're also at 180. So I'm going to go down to my trade route, go back to the beer route. I'm going to edit it, go pull up the settings for it. I already have, I'm going to go ahead and set that to a minimum 150 as well. The Grand Bahama, I'm going to set it to a minimum of 150, minimum 150, and Cat is also going to be a minimum of 150. Even though it's only like 160, I think is what we just saw at Cat and Crooked. They're relatively close to 150, so it's not much of a price difference on what we can sell. Now, one thing that I want you to think about is, can I make this any better? I'm going to give you a few seconds here and just think about it. So one thing we can do, hopefully you got this right, is think about it. I'm buying a total of 360 to split between 5 different ports. That's quite a lot. That's, you know, 60, 70 barrels per one. So am I actually going to make as much profit if I set my difference, for instance, here at the Grand Bahamas at 150? Or will I sell, 150, 200 barrels here because it's such a difference and not make as much of a profit on Cat Island or Crooked Island because it's sitting so low down? So, what do I want to do? I'm actually going to go into Grand Bahamas and Mosquito. I'm going to raise the price up to 165. So why this may not sound like much of a difference, and it really isn't much of a difference in what we're losing 15 gold essentially per thing of beer. We're just going to go ahead and let it go because this means we're selling fewer stocks here so we can make more at other islands versus sell it all here and get down to 150 and then get to the other islands and not make as much where it's 160. I know it's a little confusing, so if you have any comments or questions, feel free to put it down in the comments section and I will reply to you directly. I will try and do a better job of explaining if you have any questions, because I know this can be a little confusing with the wording I'm using and going back and forth so much. So we have this trade route set up with how we want it. So we're going to go ahead and back on out. This trade route is now done. Andros beer is now where I would like to say done. So I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ships total, all on these type of trade routes. So what I'm going to do, if I happen to, let's see here, just to kind of give you guys an example. I don't have any of that harbor. I can't buy any of those. What about my hometown at Crooked? Do I have any? No vessels in harbor. And I can't buy any. Well, crap. So one thing you want to do is get used to this. If your advisor has any things you need to do, go ahead and take care of it with these routes. Like if you have any automatic trade routes and you forget about them, he will list them here, because at a certain point, automatic trade routes just don't do anything for you, and he'll have them listed here for you to put it on. So on tour, I can go ahead and look right here at each ship and see what's going on. I'm looking at, my last tour's balance. For this one, he profited 30, he profited 30, profited 20. So he didn't profit so much. So this guy may be something I do a little different. Good profit, decent profit, decent profit, decent. So we're doing decent profits, except for the Ramona. So we're going to go ahead and select this convoy here. So I'm going to pull up this, going down to Ramona. He's doing the Andros brick, which I actually just started, so I feel kind of bad for picking this one out. He hasn't really had time to get it set up yet. And what I mean by set up is the first run to 2 runs is when they kind of get set up with the materials that they're going to be buying and selling. But we're going to go ahead and put them on this trade route here. We're going to assign them this route. We're going to go ahead and watch it right here. We're going to wait till he gets up here to Andros, and then we're going to watch his balance. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just, actually, hang on, we'll go ahead and play this out real quick. Let him get one good tour in. And I want to see, his tour balance is probably going to be negative on the first one just because he had to buy everything that he's going to be selling. So we shall see. Looks like he has to stop at Cat Island. He's almost at Crooked. Now, once he gets at Cat Island and sells and buys again, it will be his tour. So, like I said, it should be a negative, but he actually pulled a positive. That's pretty good. So, we're going to go ahead and keep going with it. He made 4,000 that trade route. Let's see what he has commodities in here. He's only got 67 beer, and that's only because we're not producing a full amount yet on a full filling level, so it can be a lot more. So he made 8,000 that tour. So you can see it's starting to exponentially grow. And if you haven't noticed from my trade routes, we've been gaining a ton of gold from these trade routes. and it's a steady increase. It's not bouncing around all over the place. So we're going to start here just to show you that these 7 ships I have on 7 different trade routes, just running my basic commodities, buying them with this method and selling them at the same settings I have, that are not even 100% fine tuned. As I said, I still need to get it to where I can get some supplies at max filling level. That way I can buy them for the cheapest and then sell them at the highest. It's not even there yet. And for some of these things like beer, where it's a 30 gold difference between buying it for 60, 70 or versus buying it for 30, 40 and then selling for 150, 180, it adds a lot. But we can go ahead and look. So we're going to go ahead and see here the Ramona, what we have here, is on tour. So she's made a profit last tour, or total so far, of that 8,288 because of maintenance, which is another thing that you have to consider on a lot of your ships is the price of maintenance. The more ships, the higher it goes up. So if your ship can fill, 2,000 things worth of beer and then take it and sell it throughout, I mean, if you can sell 2,000 beer that's at, let's say that, let's say at 80 price point. And then you take that same 2,000 beer and sell it for around the 180 price point, you're making over 100,000 in profit in an 11-day span, which in this game is only about 45 seconds to a minute. So with this trade route going, other trade routes I also have set up, we're going to see how much money I can make in a week. We're sitting at 864,000 right now. We're going to see what we can do in a week. Like I said, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. I greatly appreciate it. If there's any other things you want help or tips on, feel free to comment down below and I'll get to it. So 1 week and we made that much off these trade routes. And it's not an extreme bouncing way down and bouncing way up. It is a constant, steady increase. So that's all I have for you today, guys. If there's any aspects of this that you did not quite understand or that I didn't explain the best and wording got a little tricky or I got confused my own self with wording or did something stupid, feel free, comment down below. I'll get back to you as quick as I can, whether it's an answer straight back to it or if I need to make another video that's strictly on whatever that aspect is. And even if it's a 5 or 10 minute video about quantity or setting pricing or anything like that, feel free, let me know in the comments down below. But until next time, guys, this is it for me. I hope this trade routes work out for you. I hope going over this helps you out. Hope you now have a better understanding on how the functions work and how you can maximize your trade routes. So anything, that's it for me, guys. Hope you guys have a good time out on the seas. Peace.